The New York Knicks just released a massive report regarding Bradley Beal. Internally, they were having discussions earlier in the season to add Bradley Beal to the team this offseason. And now, in the wake of this news, the Washington Wizards and Bradley Beal are discussing trade scenarios that would move the all-star guard out of Washington. And the New York Knicks might answer that call and make a swing trade for Bradley Beal. But will this trade make the New York Knicks better and help them to compete on a different tier in the NBA? Jude and I are going to break all of this down and more today on the Knicks Digest. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, the Washington Wizards and Bradley Beal are currently discussing trade scenarios that would move Bradley Beal out of Washington. Now, Jude, he signed a $251 million supermax extension last summer. But that's not the caveat there. Here's the big kicker. No trade clause. Bradley Beal gets to decide where he plays next. Because guess what? If the Washington Wizards want to send him to Milwaukee, but he doesn't want to go to Milwaukee,
it ain't happening.
Hey, Jude, he's not going to Milwaukee.
Ain't happening.
So this is massive news coming from the Washington Wizards because they had a team with Kuz, KP, and Beal that they wanted to compete in the East and become a playoff team that was respected. And now it looks like they're breaking everything up and starting from the ground up. And if you do that, you're going to need draft assets and young players. Jude, the Knicks, they have draft assets and young players. Could they deal Beal? Could they make a deal for Beal that makes sense in your opinion?
I think what we need to focus on in that question, though, or what we need to take into consideration in answering that question, though, is first and foremost, you know, you mentioned it, is New York somewhere that Beal wants to be, right? So he's played his whole career in Washington, haven't had that much playoff success. I was looking it up, I can't remember it, but I don't remember like how many like wins, not even series wins, but wins in generals that he's experienced in Washington. So it's like, come to New York, you know? You have a team that made it to the second round. They needed somebody of your caliber to make it past there, to go to a third round, to go to a finals possibly. So I think it's a great destination. The only thing that so many players, they get swayed on by New York is like that New York crowd is going to be on you, especially if you're Bradley Beal. You're one of the top guards in the NBA. They're going to have unbelievable expectations of what Beal is going to do for the Knicks, right? So that's the first step we need to consider. Is that something that, you know, he's comfortable with? Does he want to be that guy? Does he want the pressure of playing at the Garden? You know, it's not something a lot of people really take into consideration, but it's absolutely a factor. Many athletes have said it before. It's a lot of pressure just to play in New York City because everyone is thinking, like, I'm not even going to hold back. If he comes to New York City and we pair him, we're probably going to get rid of RJ if that's the case, and another young player. So is it going to be a team, Brunson, Beal, and Julius Randle? Are they good enough to win a title? That's going to be what he needs to consider, and that's what, you know, is ultimately going to come down to. As far as picks and players, I feel like the Knicks absolutely have the pieces to make a trade of this magnitude happen. Excuse me, I don't know what's going on with my voice, but bear with me for a little bit. But again, they have the picks, they have the players. It's just a matter of how much are they going to be trying to get and how much are the Knicks comfortable with giving up. From what I've seen, I don't know. I feel like the price is a little bit too high from the trades that I've been seeing online and on Twitter and Reddit and stuff like that, where people are saying one pick, RJ, and then possibly another protected first-round pick in a later year. And I'm like, 2 first-round picks and 1 player for Bradley Beal. We can go back to when we were talking about possibly getting Zach LaVine, and even for LaVine, I felt like we absolutely had to give more than that to get LaVine, and you were coming at my neck about it like, no way is that happening. But I'm saying 2 players and 2 picks for LaVine. I feel like Bradley Beal is a better player, and people are here talking about 1 player, 1 pick, and a future protected pick. If that can happen, I highly doubt it. But if that can happen, and that's what Washington is after, if that can happen, and that's what Washington is over, like, I'm getting excited here, but in reality, I know it's just not going to happen. It's probably going to be multiple players, multiple picks, man.
Listen, Bradley Beal, and a lot of people don't want to talk about this, but we have to. Let's put it into a perspective here that we can actually discuss. Because when we talk about players, we have to talk about impact. A lot of people just have forgotten what Bradley Beal's actual impact is. Well, let me explain something to you. The New York Knicks couldn't buy a basket if his name wasn't Jalen Brunson in the playoffs. Right. We had to sign somebody else's name or forge Jalen Brunson's name on the basketball for it to even go in, because nobody else had the damn shot, right? Bradley Beal solves that. Shot creator, check. Gets his own basket, check. Can penetrate and create, check. 29 years old, fits the timeline, check. However, and this is where the however comes in, 251 million supermax. And it's not like the no trade clause goes away when he gets traded. It remains. So if he has a bad season, if he gets injured, you're stuck with an anchor of a contract that you're not going to be able to move, and a player that you can't play on a squad where you needed shooting and shot creation. This move has the makings to be a massive win or a major loss.
It really,
and if that's where we are, Jude, then you have to pick in the middle then. Am I gonna give up too much for Beal or just enough? And there's nothing that I've seen thus far that has been a trade scenario that makes sense that you could get a Beal for what fans want to get him for. Fournier, Rose, and protected picks.
Yeah,
I always phrase the question this way. If you're a GM, Jude, and I just gave you that for your best player, are you accepting it?
You know, a lot of people, what I'm seeing is that a lot of people expect that GMs are gonna not ask for less, but they may be willing to accept less as a result of the trades that happened last season with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and people seeing like, definitely didn't work for Minnesota. They gave up way too much for Gobert and, you know, barely made it into the playoffs and then got embarrassed in that first round. Donovan Mitchell, I would say it did go a lot better. They did have a really good team. They lost in that first round to the Knicks, of course, but at least they made the playoffs. Donovan wasn't a player who was like, who you could say he wasn't worth it. Rudy Gobert, that's a different story. I don't think it was worth it at all. But Donovan, he went out there and he balled. So it's like, yes, I can see that. You can say that was a successful trade, but it's still at the same time, people are going to say, you know, all they did was go to the first round. Like, they could have did that without getting Mitchell. So it's a matter of, do we really want to leverage our future in an effort to win right now? And is Bradley Beal going to be the player that's going to push us to that next level? So for me, that's like a question that's hard to answer. Like, Can
I answer it? Can I answer it?
Go for it. I was going to say, you already kind of answered it. Yeah.
Yeah. Bradley Beal ain't the answer, folks. He is not the answer. He is not. And look, for all the offensive gifts that Bradley Beal will give you, because let's not take anything away from that all-star guard. He is an all-star guard for a reason. You think they just give supermaxes out to anybody? You have to earn that. So he's earned it. Let's not get that twisted.
For sure.
However, he is not the player you want to tie up that money to.
Right. Because
he has one of the scariest histories in terms of injuries with his past.
I was just going to say guard, that, yeah. I was just going to say that.
Right, Jude, as a guard, there's two players that you do not want to have leg injuries, ankle injuries, knee injuries. Your guards and your centers. You don't want them to have those injuries.
The centers, that's a recurring thing. And the centers, that's a recurring thing. And it's like, once it's that first time, it's probably going to be something they have to worry about for the rest of their careers. And then the guards, if you can't get that separation, it's like, what are you really good for, you know? And he was
craziest part. Yeah. Think about this. Who was the guy before him on the Wizards?
Was it not John Wall? John Wall, yeah. And he had the leg injury.
Playing out the same story?
Yeah, man. Big contract. They couldn't move him. They had to eat a lot of it.
Would you take John Wall right now?
I feel like for the price that he's going at, I would take him, but it would be like, you can probably get John Wall on a veteran's minimum right now.
You would take him?
Yeah, what, a veteran's minimum for John Wall? I would take him.
I would take him for a veteran's nothing. He doesn't deserve a damn dime.
Nah,
he is garbage.
He can still give you a quality.
What are we talking about?
He can still give you a quality 10 to 15 minutes, I feel like.
Give you quality 5 to 4 minutes, maybe, if anything. You're making me rethink Evan Fournier's time if we're talking about giving this man time. Yes, that's how serious it is. You don't understand the drop-off.
We're giving Evan Fournier, what, $18 million a season? Come on, man. Veterans minimum for John Wall, who can still give you like 10 points if he has the ball?
No, he can't.
Yeah.
He is broken.
He can.
He's a mess. He can't give you nothing, not anything consistently. Listen, at the end of the day, all I'm going to say is this, okay? Bradley Beal, is it realistic? Absolutely. Is it going to happen for the New York Knicks? I doubt it. And the reason for that is because of Shams. Shams basically confirmed that there are really two teams to watch out for, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Miami Heat. And if I'm a betting man, Miami gets it. What about you, Jude?
I feel like he'd be a way better fit with Milwaukee Bucks, just like him and Giannis playing off of each other. I feel like that would be a really good 1-2 tandem. And, you know, I'm a big fan of Drew Holiday as well. He's really more of a point guard. He's not necessarily one that's looking to shoot all the time, so he has no problem setting up Giannis, and now he'll be able to set up Beal. I guess Middleton would be the odd man out. With a contract that big, it's like you're not going to be able to keep all your stars. You're going to have to do a lot of roster movements so you can get under the cap. But yeah, the thing with Beal, as far as me, do I want it to happen? I'm going to say yes. You know, that is an improvement on RJ. That is somebody I feel like we get into the playoffs and he's not going to disappear. It's not going to just be Brunson. At the very least, we know Beal is going to give us something. You know, he's going to give us at least a 20-piece in the playoffs. And now at least we have two guys that are fighting and giving us a chance. As far as I want it to happen, it's just a matter of what the price is, right? I say, you know, we're seeing all these crazy trade scenarios where it's like, oh, give them the one player and these 2 picks. I don't think so. I think 2 players, 2 picks is somewhere around where I'm comfortable with. If we can get away with a protected first-round pick, love that. But again, don't feel like that's going to happen either. Just as far as like, what are we going to do roster-wise to make it happen as far as numbers? But I want it to happen just at the right price, but I don't think it's going to happen. And just like you said, I'm happy to be talking about a trade that has some sort of traction, some sort of wheels to it, but more than likely it's not going to happen. So it's like, you know, not going to get myself excited, lead myself down that path again. Just let it go. It's nice to think about. It's always nice to think about, but probably not going to happen for the Knicks, man.
Bradley Beal and his movement this offseason is going to be one of the major stories to watch. And where Bradley Beal goes, only Bradley Beal knows that. For me and Jude, this has been the Knicks Digest. We are out. Appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Later, guys.